Time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, COL 9 presents the Dodgers as they take on the Colorado Rockies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Tuesday evening to you, wherever you may be. One thing we all know, you can't figure out baseball. Take the Rockies. They're over in Arizona. They lose 3 out of 4. They get to the airport. They have to hang around for over 7 hours. They then fly to Los Angeles and get to bed sometime around 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So last night they come to Dodger Stadium and they cancel batting practice. How'd they come out? They scored 12 runs and had 19 hits. And the Dodgers certainly hope they had a well-deserved good rest last night. On the mound, it'll be Hyun-Jin Ryu for the Dodgers. With a record of 2-1, he has never faced the Rockies. A veteran on the hill for Colorado, who are in first place, by the way, 1 game in front of Arizona. That would be Jorge De La Rosa. He is 2-2. He's had 4 straight quality starts. He is 0-7 lifetime against the Dodgers. We'll get to the ball game, but before we do, we'll celebrate the return of Hanley Ramirez right after this. Start of Game 2 of the 3-game series with the Rockies. Tonight is Hanley Ramirez bobblehead night. He joined the Dodgers in St. Louis and really joined them in San Francisco when he hit a home run. And of course, he had a great year for the Dodgers. If you add his work to the Dodgers and with Miami, he had a big year. 24 home runs, 92 RBIs, and the trademark ICU was really picked up. So Hanley Ramirez is in the starting lineup tonight on bobblehead night. Those are his numbers with the Dodgers. And as we said, he had an even bigger year with Miami. And we'll be back after this. California Toyota dealers. We make it easy. And by the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam bourbon sauce. Only at Carl's Jr. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Tuesday evening to you, wherever you may be at sunset time in Los Angeles, as the Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies pick up on Game 2 after that runaway avalanche last night, where the Rockies pounded the Dodgers 12-3. For the Dodgers tonight, they rely on the arm of Hyun-Jin Ryu, and for Colorado, the first-place Rockies leading Arizona by 1. They'll send their left-hander, Jorge De La Rosa, to the mound. For the Dodgers, they made one maneuver today. Josh Wall, who was pushed around last night, was sent back to Albuquerque. Javi Guerra joined the Dodgers and is in uniform and in the dugout right now. Meanwhile, Ryu standing patiently aside with a record of 2-1. Remember, he made his debut against the Giants and lost. Then he beat Pittsburgh. He also knocked off Arizona, and last time out pitched well but was not involved in a decision in New York. Tomorrow night, the concluding game of the series, Juan Nicasio, and he'll go up against Josh Beckett, and then Mattingly will pack his bags along with his team and head up to San Francisco for the weekend. The Dodgers right now find themselves 3.5 games behind Colorado and 1 game under 500, hoping that the appearance of Hanley Ramirez might inspire them to get back on the beam. So Ramirez, anxious, ready. If you're down in the dugout, you can feel the enthusiasm, and you can see it's almost a nervousness, but he's been around too long to be nervous. But he does indeed show signs of a horse ready to run the race and open up the gate and let him run. And as he runs to his position, the Dodgers go to theirs, and we're getting close now for the opening pitch. For the visiting Colorado Rockies, the first-place Rockies, Dexter Fowler in center field and Josh Rutledge at second base. Carlos Gonzalez in left field, Michael Kadaya in right, Jordan Pacheco at first base, Nolan Arenado at third. Yorvit Torrealba, who always handles De La Rosa, behind the plate. Jonathan Herrera is playing short while Troy Tulowitzki heals. Tulo hurt his shoulder sliding into home plate in Arizona, but he's taken BP. Wouldn't be too much of a surprise if Tulo appeared in tomorrow night's game, but that's just a guess. And De La Rosa on the mound. So Hyun-Jin Ryu trying to get the Dodgers back on the beam, get them to the 500 mark. They're 12-13, and also nibble away at the Colorado lead. And by the way, it must be duly noted, the Colorado lead, there's nothing fluky about the Rockies. They're a good ball club, and should their pitching hold up, they really have a shot at the division. So Ryu has a big job tonight with Fowler and Gonzalez in the lineup, along with, among other people, the rookie Arenado, who hit the big home run last night. As Ryu warms up, we'll take a look at the Dodgers with the leather, and they shape up this way. Gonzalez and Punto, Ramirez and Uribe, Hairston, Kemp, and Ethier. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Ryu on the mound. The reason Hairston is in left field, Carl Crawford, a tight hamstring, and they certainly didn't want him to tear it, so they'll give him the night off. Dexter Fowler, who really waited a while, and so did the Colorado front office, having a few words laughing at A.J. Ellis. But Dexter came into his own last year when he hit 300. Not only that, he has 8 home runs already in the month of April. And he takes a pitch low, ball 1. Last night, he homered leading off the game, the 5th career leadoff home run for him. So the big daddy long legs type of a right-hand batter takes a strike, and the count 1-1. Some gathering gray clouds overhead. I don't believe there's any threat of rain, but temperature at 63 and no particular breeze. The next one to Fowler is low. 2-1 the count to Dexter Fowler. Fowler waits, swings, sprays one down the right field line, foul into the stands. And the count 2-2. Dexter is 6'4", 185-pounder. They green light him a lot on a 2-0 count. In fact, one of the secrets for the Rockies under Walt Weiss, they are a very, very aggressive team. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and Fowler whacks it foul. For instance, the Rockies lead the National League in the highest numbers to swing on a 2-0 pitch. They're also first in the league, the highest number to swing on a 3-0 pitch. So they're up there to hack. 2-2 the count. Ryu into the windup, deals, and the fastball got him working at the knees. One thing we have all learned in watching Ryu pitch, he knows how to pitch. He's not just some kid. He sets you up and then he fools you, this time with a fastball, and Fowler goes down. So one away, and the batter now, Josh Rutledge, right-hand hitting second baseman. Rutledge hitting just .207 against left-hand pitching, and he takes a strike, and the count 0-1. One away, first inning. We're not just starting, that's all. Rutledge waits. Now the strike one pitch swung on and foul back. So Rio has him on the ropes. No balls and 2 strikes. Rutledge out of Cullman, Alabama, went to the university. In fact, he was all-state in Alabama. Had a couple of big years on campus. Fouls the pitch back. Josh is 6'1", 190. Just turned 24. One out, first inning, no score. Into the windup goes Ryu. Breaking ball is swung on and missed. So he took care of Fowler with a fastball at the knees. Comes back, breaking ball to take care of Rutledge. And with 2 out, the batter now will be Cargo, as they call him, Carlos Gonzalez, who wears out the Dodgers. No matter how they pitch Gonzalez, he always seems to come up with a base hit, and it's reflected in his career batting average against the Dodgers. He's hitting .356. Last night, all he did was have 3 more hits. Ryu delivers, and a fastball fouled right back into AJ's mask. 0-1 the count. Outfield fanned out straight away. Gonzalez with 4 home runs, 12 runs batted in, and batting .302. Rio on the first base side of the rubber. Hunjin delivers, fastball strike. So the hitters for the moment are being outthought by Ryu. 0-2. All right, no balls and 2 strikes. Ryu ready. Left-handed deals, fastball very high at 92. 1-2 the count. The other day in New York, Gonzalez had his 4th straight multi-hit, multi-run game, and then we saw him come up with 3 hits last night. 1-2 pitch on the way is swung on, a high drive into deep right center field, and that one is gone. So you can fool Gonzalez for a while, and then all of a sudden he jumps on one and hits it out. Carlos Gonzalez, what a priceless cargo he is, and the Rockies lead 1-0. Well, Colorado put the slug on the Dodgers last night. They had 19 hits, including 3 home runs by Fowler, Rosario, and Arenado. And now Gonzalez hits one out. 1-0 Rockies. Mike Kadire, right-hand hitting outfielder, checking in. And the first pitch to him high and away. Interesting note for Ryu, that's the first home run that he has allowed to a left-handed hitter this year. Well, he picked a good one. The 1-0 pitch. Kadire takes high, ball 2, 2-0. Kadire was on the outside looking in last night. He not only went 0 for 5, he did have a walk, but his teammates had 19 hits. The 2-0 pitch is a fastball away, 3-0. So Hyun-Jin Ryu gives up the home run to Carlos Gonzalez. For Ryu, the 4th home run that he's allowed. Next pitch in for a strike, and the count 3-1. So the Rockies lead 1-0 here in the first inning. Remember last year the Dodgers beat the Rockies 7 of 9 here at Dodger Stadium, and then the Rockies beat them 6 out of 9 in Denver. The next pitch is swung on and missed by Kadire, and the count goes all the way. Mike Kadire, if you were not with us last night, we were talking about the fact that he is a magician. Does a lot of card tricks. And the 3-2 pitch, he swings and misses, and down he goes on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. So Gonzalez hits a home run. Ryu strikes out the side, and we're off and running. 1-0 Colorado. Carlos Gonzalez. Now let's take a look at the Dodger lineup. Jerry Hairston leading off in left field. As we mentioned, Carl Crawford has a tight hamstring, so they're not taking any chances. Nick Punto is at second base. Matt Kemp in center field, followed by Adrian Gonzalez at first base. Hanley Ramirez returning to the starting lineup at shortstop. Andre Ethier in right field. A.J. Ellis the catcher. Juan Uribe gets a shot at third base. Hyun-Jin Ryu on the mound. On the mound for Colorado, the left-hander Jorge De La Rosa, the man from Monterrey, Mexico. He lives in San Nicolas, Mexico, and was originally signed by the Diamondbacks out of the Mexican League. De La Rosa, surprisingly, 0-7 lifetime against the Dodgers, but against the rest of the West, he is 19-10. He's also done very well in his career in the month of April. He's 14-7, and of course we're about ready to run out of April. And the first pitch to Jerry Hairston, he has a look for a strike, 0-1. Here's Jorge's numbers. Not only is he 0-7, he actually has started 13 times against the Dodgers. Strike one pitch, fastball hit to center. Fowler coming up and can't make it. He'll trap it, and Hairston a fly ball single to center. The really disconcerting number for De La Rosa, he has started 13 times against the Dodgers, and his ball club yet to win. 0-13. even though his decision's 0-7. De La Rosa had Tommy John surgery back in 2011. We mentioned he's done very well in April. He's also done well stifling right-hand batters, even though Hairston just got the fly ball single. Right-hand hitters are hitting about 220 against him. He's been hit hard early in his pitch count. Inside the first 25 pitches, he's been knocked around a little bit. De La Rosa said, a look over at Hairston. Now to the plate, a push bunt. Charging it is their first baseman, and the feed is no good. Punto is aboard with a single, and down to second goes Hairston. Pacheco came in to get it, and by the time he picked it up, both De La Rosa and Ruffledge were at the bag. Neither could make the catch. So Punto, in a traffic jam, has himself a bunt single, and the Dodgers are certainly in business. First and second and nobody out. Interesting, the last at bat that Punto had in batting practice, he did just that. He bunted up along first base, so he'd been thinking about it, and it's paid off. And now here's Matt Kemp. 2 on, nobody out, first inning. Rockies lead 1-0. Matt batting .253, 1 home run, 10 runs batted in. De La Rosa out of a stretch. The left-hander deals in the fastballs a strike, and they count 0-1. We can look up De La Rosa and match him up with Matt Kemp. Kemp has 10 hits against him and 3 home runs. So Matt's batting .435 against De La Rosa. The left-hander, a high set up around the collarbone, turns on the rubber and looks back at second base. So here in the first inning, we saw Gonzalez hit a home run. We saw Ryu strike out the side. Then we see Hairston get a fly ball single and Punto a bunt single. So Kemp waiting, no balls and 1 strike. Adrian Gonzalez on deck. Fastball fouled off, and the count 0-2. So Matt Kemp in a hole, 0-2. Matt hitting .253, but he has struck out 24 times. 1 home run, 10 runs batted in. De La Rosa, 32 years old, out of a stretch, a check of the runners, and the strike 2 pitch on the way. Swung on, line drive base hit into left center. Fowler over to cut it off. Scoring easily is Hairston. Stopping at third is Punto, and the Dodgers have tied it up 1-1. So 3 straight hits against left-hander De La Rosa, and Kemp smacks it into the gap in left center. Fowler doing a good job to cut it off and hold it to a single. So now Adrian Gonzalez coming up. First and third, nobody out. 1-1 tie, a noisy beginning. Gonzalez taking his time getting in, batting .333. He has 2 home runs, 17 runs batted in. We'll see what Adrian has done in the past. De La Rosa delivers high fastball, swung on and missed. Adrian is hitting .357 against De La Rosa, and Gonzalez has 3 home runs against him. So Kemp at first, Punto down the line from third in a 1-1 tie. Punto bluffs down the line. De La Rosa set, comes to Gonzalez, breaking ball low, and we have a 1-ball, 1-strike count. So Carlos Gonzalez hit a home run, and De La Rosa goes out and immediately 3 hits get it back. Adrian Gonzalez hitting .385 against left-hand pitching this year. 1-1 pitch. Swung on. Slicing fly ball to left. Surrounding it is Gonzalez. Tagging is Punto. Throw is wide. Punto scores. And it is 2-1 Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez picks up another run batted in to give him 18. Matt Kemp stayed at first as the run scored. And now Hanley Ramirez coming up. So Hanley returning to the Wars on the Hanley Ramirez bobblehead night. Last year combining Miami and the Dodgers, 24 home runs, 92 runs batted in. Had a bad offseason, tripped while scoring a run, fell heavily on his shoulder in winter ball, and then in the World Baseball Cup Classic he jammed a finger. So this is his first at bat of the year. Dodgers lead 2-1. Off speed pitch for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Ramirez facing De La Rosa for the first time. Dodgers 2, Rockies 1, first inning. De La Rosa looks in, getting a sign from Torrealba. The strike one pitch is swung on, fouled outside at third, and the count 0-2. The Hanley Ramirez kind of talking to himself a little bit as he walks away from home plate. Hanley Ramirez night, the bobblehead giving you one of those I see you looks. 0-2 to Hanley. Throw to first. Matt Kemp back on the bag. Matt Kemp has stolen 4 and is 4 for 4 in stolen bases. 1 out, first inning, 2-1 Dodgers. Torrealba looking over to see if they want to pitch out. Kemp off the bag, held on by Pacheco. And De La Rosa out of a set. The strike 2 pitch, the fastball outside. Ramirez goes after it. It's a little ground ball to Pacheco for the out, and Kemp goes to second. That pitch appeared to be way outside of the strike zone, and he had to reach to even touch it as he grounded to first. So Ramirez gets the first at bat out of the way. Kemp now at second base, and here's Andre Ethier trying to pick him up. Ethier hitting .241 with 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in. He's hitting .257 against left-hand pitching. Andre 2 for 4 last night, trying to pick up Matt Kemp. Dodgers 2, Rockies 1, first inning. De La Rosa, the left-hander, delivers. Fastball in the dirt. Nice block by Yorvit Torrealba. 1 ball and no strike. De La Rosa originally signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but the team stopped its working agreement with Monterrey of the Mexican League, cost-cutting measure. So Monterrey pulled De La Rosa back, sold his contract to the highest bidder, and there were some high bidders, including the Dodgers. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. De La Rosa delivers, swung on and missed, and the count 1-1. All those bidding, well, Boston and the Red Sox beat out the Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Yankees. Monterrey, by the way, got 60% of the money, and Jorge got the other 40%. Never did make it with the Red Sox, got as high as Pawtucket, then went to the Brewers. The Brewers, the Royals, and the Rockies. Jorge De La Rosa lives in San Nicolas in Mexico. 1-1 to Andre Ethier, 2 out. Kemp at second. Dodgers lead 2-1. Pitch at the plate, swung on and foul back off to the left. 1-2 the count. So Andre hitting about 26 points higher against left-handers. 2 of his 3 home runs hit against right-handers. Well, they hook up again. Ethier back up at the plate. De La Rosa plants the left foot. Veteran left-hander ready, and the 1-2 pitch is swung on and popped up on the infield. It will be Rutledge, the second baseman, making the catch, and that's that. But the Dodgers get 3 hits for 2 runs, and at the end of an inning, lead the Rockies 2-1. Hyun-Jin Ryu ready to work now to Jordan Pacheco. The right-hand batter takes low, ball 1. Pacheco, a contact hitter, has always been. In fact, this year he's only struck out 5 times, hitting .364. He can catch, play first base, third base, takes a strike, and the count 1-1. So Pacheco leading it off. Two for 5 with a couple of RBIs last night. Ryu into his windup, back with a breaking ball, spins it in there nicely, and the count 1-2. Hyun-Jin Ryu 2-1 facing Jordan Pacheco, the pride of the University of New Mexico. He was a middle infielder in college. The 1-2 pitch, fastball, got him looking. Though he has struck out 4, he has faced 5, and the one man he didn't strike out hit a home run. Now Nolan Arenado coming up. The young fella from Lake Forest, went to El Toro High School, the #1 prospect in the Rockies organization, and he had the thrill of a lifetime last night. Arenado hit a home run in the 5th inning. He backs off on ball 1. Lives in Lake Forest. 6'1", 210. Just starting out, 22 years old. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Arenado looks, and that's low. 2-0 the count. Arenado finished up high school with a bang. He hit safely in 27 of his last 28 games in high school. What a way to say goodbye. 2-0 pitch. He's way out in front of a change, and the count 2-1. Boy, that was a big league changeup. Nolan was named the #1 prospect in the Rockies farm system this spring, and here he is. The 2-1 pitch to the young third baseman, inside, ball 3. Everybody got to know the name Arenado 2 years ago. He led all of minor league baseball with 122 runs batted in. Ryu ready in the 3-1 pitch. Fastball in there. 3-2. That was an interesting combination last night. Arenado playing third, Tyler Chatwood pitching. They faced each other in high school and now they're teammates. Ground ball up the middle, backhanded by Punto, and the throw to first. Big stretch by Adrian Freddie out. We had to wait for first base umpire Larry Vanover to make sure he had to run around the runner. It was a good call by Larry and a fine play by both Punto and Gonzalez. Punto going away, jumped in the air, and then Gonzalez stretching down the right field line, and Larry couldn't see the foot. He had to dance into foul ground before calling Arenado out. So 2 out in the second inning, and Yorvit Torrealba. So that was a fine combination play by Nick Punto and Adrian Gonzalez. Torrealba always catches De La Rosa. Yorvit takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Torrealba hitting a solid .280. Has 3 home runs in his career against the Dodgers. He's from Venezuela. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. He's come off the bench 3 times and produced for a pinch hit single this early going. 1-1 pitch. Torrealba swings and doesn't get it. Torrealba gets right on the plate. So Ryu worked right in on the knuckles. 1-2 the count. Ryu into the windup, back with a fastball away. The first inside for a strike and just missed. Tantalizing as he left it just off the corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ryu delivers, ground ball down to Punto. A lot of English on it, and the throw to first a little erratic, but again Gonzalez saves the day. So down go the Rockies, and at the end of an inning and a half, Dodgers 2, Rockies 1. Ryu wrapping up that valuable left arm. He has struck out 4. The run came like a bolt of lightning on a 1-2 count. Carlos Gonzalez hit a home run in the first inning, but the Dodgers came back with 3 singles for 2, and now A.J. Ellis, Juan Uribe, and Hyun-Jin Ryu. Jorge De La Rosa into his windup, and the left-hander's pitch in for a strike. 0-1 the count to A.J. hitting .261 with a home run and 8 runs batted in. The strike one pitch on the way. Fastball a little high. 1-1. Jorge De La Rosa eventually signing with Boston and then eventually winding up with Colorado. The 1-1 pitch swung on and fouled at the plate, and the count 1-2. One of the big things that helped De La Rosa turn things around was the Rockies' mental skills coach. Yep, they have such a coach. 1-2. A.J. waiting. De La Rosa rocks and turns, comes with a fastball inside. Among other things, they impressed upon De La Rosa the importance of taking deep breaths and counting to 10 to relax when you get in trouble, rather than try to bull your way out and more than likely compound the problem. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Low and inside, ball 3, 3-2. De La Rosa was sent by the Red Sox to the Diamondbacks for Curt Schilling. But 3 days later, the Brewers made a deal sending Richie Sexson to acquire De La Rosa. Fastball is pulled foul outside of third down the line. Then De La Rosa mounts around. He went to the Royals and eventually acquired by the Rockies. Knowledgeable pitcher. 3-2 the count. Left-handed delivers. Fastball low. Ball 4. So Ellis opens up the second inning with a walk. And the batter will be Juan Uribe. Dodgers lead 2-1, looking for more. De La Rosa basically four-seam fastball that's been clocked as high as 97. Wicked slider, curveball. He has a cutter and a changeup. Ellis a short lead at first, held on by Pacheco. De La Rosa to the plate. Uribe a big swing and a miss, and the count 0-1. There's a connection as far as De La Rosa is concerned in Mexico with Hermosillo. No balls and 1 strike to Uribe. Fastball lined into left field, base hit. So the Dodgers have runners at first and second, nobody out, and Ryu coming up. We mentioned the connection with Hermosillo and De La Rosa. De La Rosa and Fernando Valenzuela were teammates with Hermosillo of the Mexican League back in 2001 and 2002. And as Jorge said, I learned a lot from him. Every question I asked, he answered. De La Rosa in trouble right now. First and second, nobody out. The Rockies looking bunt from Ryu. Left-hand pitcher, bats right-handed. The pitch to Rio, he shows bunt and takes a strike. Rio does not have a sacrifice. He is 3 for 9. So Hyun-Jin back up and waiting. Ellis away from second, Uribe from first. The corners are up, Arenado and Pacheco. Now the strike one pitch to Ryu. He gets the bunt down, picked up by Arenado, who throws to his shortstop for 1 at third, and they throw to first. And just like that, a wonderful play by the Rockies infield. It was a set play. Herrera took off to cover third, and Arenado immediately got it to him. That's the kind of a play even the opposition nods and said, well done. Arenado was on it. Covering was Herrera at third, and then he gunned it across, just beating Ryu. So the double play goes 5-6-3. Dodgers wind up with a runner at second base, Uribe, 2 out, and Jerry Hairston coming up. Two runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 1 hit for the Rockies. It was a home run by Carlos Gonzalez. Hairston, a little fly ball single. Fowler came close, but could only, on the dead run, short hop it, and Hairston eventually came around to score. Jerry waiting. De La Rosa comes to him. Big curveball, but it stayed up. Ball 1. 1-0. Dodgers had 3 straight hits and a scoring fly ball to get their 2 in the first inning. But a very, very big league double play ball turned in by Colorado on the bunt by Ryu. 1-0 pitch fouled away, and they count 1-1. We'll repeat in case you weren't with us. Carl Crawford not in the starting lineup. Tight hamstring. One and 1 to count. Waiting on deck, Nick Punto. 2 out. 2-1 Dodgers, second inning. Out of a stretch goes the left-hander, and the next one is swung on and fouled. 2-2 the count. Juan Nicasio and Josh Beckett tomorrow night. Nicasio comes in, 3 wins and no losses. One and 2 the count to Jerry Hairston. De La Rosa waiting for Jerry to settle in. Uribe, pretty good lead at second. And the 1-2 pitch coming up is outside and low, ball 2. 2-2 the count. A few years ago, De La Rosa, it was 2009 to be exact, he was 0-6 in his first 10 starts. Turned around and went 16-3. Fastball lifted off first, slicing foul. It will go back into the stands, and the count stays 2-2. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, De La Rosa only the 3rd pitcher in Major League history and the first since at least 1900 to win at least 16 games in a season in which he was 0-6 or worse through the month of May. So he's had his ups and downs, but he is an acknowledged fine Major League pitcher. Hairston out of the box, now back in again. Nick Punto on deck. 2-1 Dodgers, second inning. De La Rosa making Hairston hang, and Hairston's not about to do that, and he backs out. Torrealba going out to the mound. So a time out. The beginning of the year, De La Rosa's career, 54 wins, 51 losses. So right now he has 56 victories and 53 losses, and an ERA of just about 5. Left-hander out of a stretch. Another look back at second. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Line drive to left field. Coming up to catch it on a bounce is Cargo. His throw is way offline. All the way to second base goes Hairston, and the Dodgers lead 3-1. Carlos Gonzalez not even close forgetting that throw near home plate. So Hairston, an RBI single to left, his second hit and a run batted in, and then takes second on that wild throw. Throw wound up in foul ground, blocked and caught by Torey Alba, far away from home plate. So Hairston now at second base, and the Dodgers lead 3-1. Remember those numbers on De La Rosa. 0-7 in his career, and every game he has started against the Dodgers, his team has lost. 0-13. Fastball low and inside to Punto. 1 ball and no strike. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 1 hit for the Rockies. Punto batting .419. Boy, what a job he's had. The next pitch to him off speed for a strike. That balances it up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Punto, the last at bat as they took their turns in batting practice, bunted, and then his first time up he bunted for real and had a single, came around to score. 1-1 to Nick. Fastball, and that's low. So Punto, the switch hitter, batting right-handed against the left-hander De La Rosa. He's hitting, or going into the game, he's had 9 at bats and he has 6 hits. Hitting right-handed and hitting .318 left. 2 balls and 1 strike. Dodgers lead 3-1, second inning. De La Rosa delivers, and that's foul back. So deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, a runner at second, and the Dodgers lead by 2, 3-1. Hairston 2 for 2 in the leadoff role, has scored a run and knocked 1 in. Waiting on deck, Matt Kemp. So this is a big at bat for Punto, the way Kemp hits De La Rosa. 2 balls, 2 strikes. De La Rosa delivers, swung on, popped in the air, foul behind the plate and back into the screen and over the screen into the crowd. So it's still 2-2. Dodgers last year beat the Rockies 7 out of 9 here. Rockies beat the Dodgers 6 out of 9 there. And the Dodgers had their clocks cleaned last night when the Rockies with 19 hits and 12 runs. 2-2 the count. De La Rosa looks at second. Back he comes. Fastball line to left. That's a base hit. Here comes Hairston. This time the throw goes into second base, and the Dodgers lead 4-1. So the Dodgers all over Jorge De La Rosa. 4 runs and a half a dozen hits. And for Punto, he's 2 for 2. So the Dodger lineup, there are 4 hits between Hairston and Punto, and now you have Matt Kemp. And Kemp singled in the first inning to drive in a run. Big Jim Wright, the pitching coach, out to the mound to talk for the moment. De La Rosa shaking his head here, leaves the mound, walks on the grass as if somehow it will go away, but it won't. It's 4-1 Dodgers. Remember, in the inning there were 2 on and nobody out. Ryu bunted into a double play, and then with 2 out, Hairston got a base hit and Punto a base hit. So Rio leads by 3 as he sits comfortably in the Dodger dugout. And here's Matt Kemp, who slices one foul down the right field line and back into this crowd. 0-1 the count. Matt hitting .261. single to center, hard line drive, and it was a fine play by Dexter Fowler to hold it to a single. Four runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 1 hit, home run by Carlos Gonzalez. The 0-1 pitch is inside, missing the corner with a fastball. 1-1 to count. So De La Rosa had 4 consecutive quality starts going into this game. One and one. The next one high and tight. 2 balls and 1 strike. Of course, last night Tyler Chatwood really had one getaway. It grazed the shoulder and then the side of the face of Matt Kemp. And boy, that thing was coming up there in a hurry. No thought of it being intentionally thrown. Chatwood said something to Matt about "I'm sorry, I'm sure," and Matt said okay. The score was about 10-0 at the time. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way. Swung on, ground ball to third. Arenado the quick way to second. They get the force on Punto, and the inning is over. However, the Dodgers score 2, and at the end of 2, lead the Rockies 4-1. One led by Jerry Hairston. 2 singles to really set things going, or as they say, set the table. 4 hits atop the lineup. 2 by Hairston, 2 by Punto. Now in the 3rd inning, it'll be Herrera, De La Rosa, and Fowler. Jonathan Herrera, a very good player, hitting .281, and takes ball 1. Herrera playing in the shadow of Troy Tulowitzki, and that is some shadow. But they played together in Double-A. The 1-0 pitch is in there, and the count 1-1. So Tulowitzki down with the sore shoulder, and Jonathan Herrera plays a darn good shortstop. Takes another strike. He's from Maracaibo in Venezuela. 28 years old, about 5'9", 180. Been with the Rockies for the last few years. Fouls it away, and it's still 1-2. Herrera was the boy, a very good student in high school, but he wanted to get out of Maracaibo and play baseball. His parents reluctantly let him go, and he's made it work. The 1-2 pitch is instead timeout, as Herrera, afraid of being quick pitch, tried to slow Ryu down. 1-2 pitch on the way. Big curveball swung on and missed. Whoa. You talk about public enemy number one. The big overhand curve. 5 strikeouts for Ryu. We can take a look on TV. Boy, that was a mean deuce. So 5 strikeouts, and Jorge De La Rosa, a left-handed batter, checks in. De La Rosa looks at a strike. 0-1. On deck, Dexter Fowler. Now right back with another pitch swung on and missed. So immediately Ryu is out in front. No balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, 3rd inning. Dodgers lead 4-1. Hyun-jin ready. And the strike 2 pitch swung on and fouled at the plate. Oh, De La Rosa still there, barely. Jorge, who had Tommy John surgery just 2 years ago, fighting his way back. Now the strike 2 pitch, and that's sprayed foul outside of third between the legs of Stu Cole, the third base coach. We mentioned last night the return of Rene Lachemann. He's at the first base coaching box. Rene was the Dodger bat boy in the Coliseum from 1959 into 62, which meant he was the bat boy here as well. Oh, a slow curveball on De La Rosa. The deer in the headlights just watched it float in. What a pitch that was. 6 strikeouts now for Ryu. Big rainbow curveball. It looked faster on television than it did in real time. The Ryu has struck out 6 in 2 2/3 innings, and the batter now Dexter Fowler, who struck out in the first inning. Here comes the first pitch in for a strike. 0-1. So Fowler backs out. Dexter hitting .304, 8 home runs, 15 runs batted in. He had 2 walks, a single, and a home run last night. Hits it right back to Rio, and that's that. So down go the Rockies, and at the end of 2.5 innings, Dodgers 4, Rockies 1. Bobblehead night. That's Tuesday, May 14th at 7:10. The Dodgers and the Washington Nationals. And the first 50,000 fans in attendance take home a mini home run posing Kemp bobblehead. compliments of United Healthcare. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Adrian Gonzalez will lead it off as Matt looks on from the Dodger dugout. De La Rosa, the left-hander, delivers, and it's fouled away. 0-1 the count. Gonzalez hit a fly ball to left field deep enough to score Punto from third. Adrian with 18 runs batted in. And the strike one pitch on the way chases a bad ball, a breaking ball down and away. 0-1. Now 0-2. Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Ethier in that order. 4-1 Dodgers, bottom of the third. De La Rosa comes back 0-2. Way high and away. Fastball just to show it to him. Fastball at 92. De La Rosa first came up to the big leagues in 2004. So he's had a lot of big league time. Here's his 1-2 pitch coming up. And that's fouled away. De La Rosa reminds you a little bit of many of the Asian pitchers we have seen, in the sense he has a bit of a hesitation with his right leg before he continues on the way towards home plate. Ryu doesn't have quite that hesitation at all, but almost every other, certainly Japanese pitcher, has it. There's the hesitation, and the pitch chased and missed, a breaking ball way off the plate. So Adrian is fooled and strikes out. 1 away. Strikeout number 1 for De La Rosa, and the batter will be Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez certainly looked rusty in his first at bat. He went after a fastball way outside of the plate, lunged at it, and rolled a little ball down to Pacheco at first base. One away in the third, 4-1 in favor of the Dodgers. De La Rosa into the windup. Fastball is hit high in the air to left field. Going back is Gonzalez to the track at the wall. Gone. A bobblehead home run for Hanley Ramirez. I see you. He does that to the crowd, making circles with index finger and thumbs and hold them up to the eyes. It was questionable if you could hit a ball that high that it would go out. But he did just that, a mile high, and it carried into the stands. So the Dodgers now lead 5-1, and Ramirez is back with his first home run of the year. Did anybody say Manny Ramirez after that bobblehead home run? Meanwhile, a shot over first down the line. Andre Ethier is on his way for 2. He is in there with a double. Hanley Ramirez got a fastball belt high, hit it a mile high. Gomez just kept going back, and Carlos got to the scoreboard and had to watch it go in. So Andre Ethier follows with a double. He shook up the shortstop, Jonathan Herrera, in sliding in. I know Andre was saying, "I'm sorry." And Herrera came over and patted him on the back as if, hey, it's okay, it's part of the game. So a 1-out home run by Ramirez, the double down the line by Ethier, and the batter is A.J. Ellis. And the pitch high to A.J., ball 1. No one throwing yet in the Rockies bullpen, but the Dodgers have been all over De La Rosa, leading 5-1 on 8 hits in just 2 1/3 innings. Ellis holds up on a pitch for a strike, and the count 1-1. A.J. walked and was forced at third on a big league double play on the bunt by Ryu in the second inning. 1 ball and 1 strike. De La Rosa looks at Ethier. Back he comes. That's hit in the air, foul down the right field line, well back into the crowd. Nice turnout tonight. Good crowd. Not a sellout, but a large crowd to welcome Hanley Ramirez back on Hanley Ramirez bobblehead night. AJ in and out of the box, waiting now for De La Rosa. 1 ball and 2 strikes. De La Rosa looks back at Ethier, and the left-hander delivers low and inside, tight to the shins. Only 1 out. De La Rosa continues to shake his head. He's having one of those nights. And remember, we talked about the mental coach. The 2-2 pitch is swung on, little ground ball. Arenado cuts in front of the shortstop to make the play, but the ball hit ahead of him. Ethier has nowhere to go. So 2 out here in the third inning, with the Dodgers leading 5-1, and Juan Uribe coming up. Uribe singled and scored a run in the second inning. Dodgers 5 runs on 8 hits. Rockies 1 run, 1 hit, 1 swing of the bat by Carlos Gonzalez. De La Rosa trying to get out of the inning, and Uribe takes an off-speed pitch that misses. That came up there at 74. 1 ball and no strikes. Waiting on deck, Hyun-Jin Ryu, who bunted into a double play. Now they've decided, why mess around with Uribe with a runner in scoring position? They're going to put him aboard and try to get the out man be the opposing pitcher, Ryu. So in a moment, the Dodgers will have runners at first and second. 2 out, leading 5-1. Gives us a chance to remind you, Juan Nicasio and Josh Beckett tomorrow night. Dodgers then will go up to San Francisco Friday and Saturday nights, and Sunday at 5 o'clock. Then they come home for what should be a wild homestand. Arizona, Miami, and Washington. So Ryu checking in, batting .300. Came into the game 3 for 9, bunted into a double play. 2 on, 2 out, a run in. De La Rosa ready, and the left-hander's fastball is low. Ball 1. 1-0. Ethier away from second. Uribe at first. 2 down. De La Rosa comes back to Ryu, swung on and missed, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. (5-1) Dodgers, third inning. The 1-1 pitch is a fastball hit foul way upstairs, off to the right. Fastball at 91. Rio just put the bat on it, and it immediately angled foul. De La Rosa trying to put him away. De La Rosa has now made 50 pitches, so he's laboring. Never more so than in the second inning. when he made 27. Left-handed delivers, breaking ball in the dirt. Nice block by Torrealba. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. Dodgers lead 5-1. "32-year-old De La Rosa had a birthday 5th of April. Shaking no to Torrealba, then yes. And the 2-2 pitch coming up. Fastball fouled away. That was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. So you don't expect pitchers to have pretty good cuts and foul a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. De La Rosa deep in thought. The battle picks up again, and De La Rosa ready, deals. Fastball fouled away again. So that was 93. So he has fouled off 3 fastballs right up the ladder. 91, 92, and 93. De La Rosa, I think, fit to be tied. Wants to figure out what else he can do to get this troublesome hitter out of there. He says no to Torrealba. The 2-2 pitch coming up. Fastball hit into right field. Would you believe, base hit? They are waving in the runner to score. Down to third goes Uribe, and the Dodgers add another on a base hit by Ryu, who just kept making contact on those 92 and 93 mile-an-hour fastballs. So that was a tremendous at-bat. Ethier scored easily. Uribe cruised into third. All Kadaya could do is get the ball back to the infield, but there was no further play. So the Dodgers lead 6-1. They're going to have to change the scoreboard. Scoreboard has it kind of goofy. It is 6-1, not 5-2. They have inadvertently scored the run for the Rockies. Anyway, it's 6-1. So Jerry Hairston is up for his 3rd at bat in 3 innings, with the Dodgers leading 6-1. De La Rosa delivers, and it is off the plate, ball 1. Boy, that was pretty impressive to see. Ryu kept fouling off 92, 93 mile-an-hour fastballs, and then he bangs one into right field for a base hit. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way. Swung on and fouled back. 1-1. Hairston has singled to center. That was a fly ball single and a line drive single to left. He has knocked in 1, and he has scored 1. Dodgers at the corners. Uribe down the line from third. Ryu at first. They're not holding him. Now the pitch of the plate, and that's in the dirt. Smothered nicely by Torrealba. So Uribe, who was walked intentionally to get at Ryu, and Ryu promptly singles to right to drive in a run. Two balls and 1 strike, the count. That RBI, by the way, the first major league RBI for Ryu. The pitch to Hairston, low in the dirt again. So De La Rosa is really struggling. Ever since the first inning, he's been shaking his head as if to say, I don't understand it. He made 27 pitches in the 2nd inning, and he's ready to make his 28th pitch here in the 3rd. The left-hander delivers, and it's popped up in the shallow left. Going out is Herrera and calling and makes the catch for the final out. But the Dodgers string 3 deuces on the board, headlined by Hanley Ramirez, who got a fastball and hit it so high and so far. And the Dodgers lead 6-1. Dodger Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam Bourbon sauce. Only at Carl's Jr. And by your Southern California Chevy dealers. Dodgers take a 6-1 lead into the 4th inning. Josh Rutledge, Carlos Gonzalez, and then Mike Kadaya. So on his bobblehead night, shades of Manny Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez hits the home run, and the Dodgers have 9 hits to go with their 6 runs. Josh Rutledge will start it off. He struck out in the 1st inning. Josh takes a look, and it's ball 1. One and one. Rutledge, not considered a home run hitter, but in his first 21 major league games, he hit 6, including 4 in a 4-game stretch. Off speed for a strike. Ryu has struck out a half a dozen in 3 innings. Little ground ball to short. Close. Rutledge really hustling down the line. Ramirez got him, 1 away. Hanley kind of double clutching a little bit, so that made it close. Now Carlos Gonzalez. The count was 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 out 1st inning, and Gonzalez hit a home run. Cargo showing bunt. We mentioned he wears the Dodgers out in his career, hitting .356. And against left-handers this year, he's batting .406 with 2 home runs. He has 32 home runs against left-hand pitching. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fastball, check swing, no swing. By the way, when Gonzalez hit that 1-2 pitch for the home run, He was 1 for 15 when he was down in the count 1-2. 3-0. And ball 4. So that means for the first time tonight, Ryu will have to pitch out of the stretch. Mike Kadire, the right fielder, struck out in the first inning. Kadire 0 for 6 in the series. Foul back. Kadire takes a look at Stu Cole at third. Gonzalez held on by Adrian. Breaking ball. Wow. I mean, you want to be fooled by a curveball. That's being fooled. 0-2 the count. Thank you for the screen. Little spillage over there, but thank goodness all is well. So Kadire strikes out for the second time. 7 strikeouts for Ryu. And the batter is Jordan Pacheco. He struck out leading off the second inning. So where he lost the bat on the curveball, he's just blown away by the fastball. Dodgers lead 6-1, 4th inning, 2 out. Here's Pacheco. We're getting to the stage where you wonder, well, who hasn't struck out? Carlos Gonzalez, Arenado, and Torrealba, who have only had 1 at bat each. Foul ball. Boy, there's quite a pitching duel going on over in Arizona. Trevor Cahill and Madison Bumgarner are both throwing 3-hit shutouts into the 8th inning. Giants and the D-backs, no score in the 8th. And remember, Arizona 1 game behind the Rockies. Oh, 2. He fouled it off. That was a big, slow overhand curve coming up there at 72 miles an hour. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 out, 4th inning. 6-1 Dodgers, and so far Ryu putting on quite a show. Fastball got him looking. 8 strikeouts for Hyun-Jin Ryu, and he walks off leading 6-1. Masterpiece of 4 innings by Hyun-Jin Ryu, who has struck out 8, walked 1, and the only run was that home run by Carlos Gonzalez. So Ryu has this, I'll tell you, this crowd, since the very beginning of the game, it sounds and feels like a Friday night, not a Tuesday. So this crowd is pumped. Meanwhile, so are the Dodgers, leading 6-1 with 9 hits. Nick Punto 2 for 2 will check in. Breaking ball, strike. Ryu, by the way, has made 62 pitches in his 4 innings. 1 ball and 1 strike. We've mentioned the fact that De La Rosa has spent a good portion of the night shaking his head, almost in disbelief. Statistically, we'll give you another reason. The Dodgers have 4 two-strike hits and 3 two-out RBIs. That's enough to make a pitcher shake his head. 2-1 to Punto. Fastball way off the mark, and that fastball now has dropped a bit. That was 89. So he's already up into the middle 70s on a pitch count, and he's just starting in the 4th inning. Matt Kemp waits on deck. Pop fly, left side, Herrera. One out in the 4th. Matt Kemp has singled and hit into a force play. 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. They had a home run by Hanley Ramirez and a double by Andre Ethier. 1 hit for the Rockies, the home run by Gonzalez. And a strike. Looked like a straight change. 0-1. De La Rosa is due to bat 4th, so he knows he's on borrowed time now. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Did he? No, he didn't. 2 balls and 1 strike. Wally Bell is the plate umpire. Larry Vanover, Tony Randazza, and Manny Gonzalez at 3rd. Wally Bell's been umpiring 21 years in the big leagues. He's from Ohio. Two and 1. That was a changeup, and Kemp had to be guessing fastball. He was so far out in front of that. So that was a big league change. Same quick arm speed. It's a great pitch if you ever learn to throw it and throw it for strikes. 2-2. Fouled away, and Matt got that on the foot. The baseball weighs around 5 1/4 ounces, but when it hits you in the instep, it might as well weigh 50 pounds. And he's not ready. So timeout. Dodgers scored 2 in the first. Hairston and Punto singled. Kemp singled in 1, and Gonzalez fly ball picked up another. In the 2nd inning, with 2 out, the Dodgers had a couple of singles, a force play, picked up 2 more.
And in the third, Ramirez homered, Ethier doubled, and Ryu, after fouling off 4 of 5 92-mile-an-hour fastballs, singled to right field to drive in yet another run. Mark Ellis, Ted Lilly sitting in front of Ryu. 2-2. And lifting that fastball, staying on the infield, it will be Rutledge. So 2 pop flies, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. For Colorado, they're due to have Arenado and Torrealba, then Herrera, and then De La Rosa with that 4th. Adrian hitting .330, had that sacrifice fly and struck out. Bounced it, ball 1. Josh Beckett and Juan Nicasio tomorrow night to conclude the series and the brief homestand. Then the Dodgers go to San Francisco and come home for a longer homestand. Arizona, Miami, and Washington. Slow breaking ball in for the strike. De La Rosa in the 80s now, and he's in the 4th inning. 1-2. Gonzalez batting .330, 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in, and he piled up 30 hits. One and two. That fastball at 92. Dodgers 6 runs, 9 hits. Rockies 1 run, 1 hit. The home run. And that's a line drive by the diving Herrera. So Gonzalez with a line drive single is 1 for 2. And the batter will be Hanley Ramirez. So Adrian lines one just out of the clutch of Herrera. Hanley Ramirez grounded out, chasing a bad pitch in the first inning. But oh, what he did to the pitch in the third. Ball 1. And the strike, 1-1. Looked like Hanley was determined to take that pitch. He's checking with Wallach. 2 out. You certainly don't expect Adrian Gonzalez to do any running. And ball 2, 2-1. Again, a 2-1 count has always been considered a manager's count, a good count on which to put a play on. But you wonder, would they run Gonzalez? He has a very short lead. He's not gone. And a line drive down the right field line in the corner. Over to get it is Kadaya, and jogging to third is Adrian Gonzalez on a double by Hanley Ramirez. Boy, he's having a night. Home run and a double. Probably any other runner in the game for the Dodgers would have scored on that double. And the batter now is Andre Ethier. The Hanley, a bullet down the right field line. Second and third, 2 out. First base open. And Ethier, who has popped up in double, coming up. Hello, Hanley. We see you. So everything is a first. Home run was his first. Double his first. And now Ethier. Edgmer Escalona gets up down in the bullpen. Doesn't figure that De La Rosa is going to be around long no matter what happens. Tried to golf that. 0-1. 2 pop flies, and then Gonzalez laced a single, and Ramirez doubles into third. 6 runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 1 hit for Colorado. And ground ball to Rutledge. That'll be that. The Dodgers leave runners at second and third. And at the end of 4, Dodgers 6, Rockies 1.
Dodger Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good time. By Chevrolet. Find new roads. And by Sports Authority, the official sporting goods retailer of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
We go to the 5th inning with the Dodgers leading 6-1. Hanley Ramirez is leading the way with the bat, and Hyun-Jin Ryu is leading the way with the arm. Ramirez has a double and a home run. Ryu has been brilliant. He has struck out 8 and he's allowed 1 hit. Arenado, the young third baseman, and a strike. We told you the pitching duel over in Arizona, whereas Trevor Cahill had made only 76 pitches through 7. Madison Bumgarner had made 102. So they brought in Santiago Casilla to start the bottom of the 8th inning. And the first batter, Josh Wilson, hit a home run. And Arizona leads 1-0. Giants began the night 2 games above 500 and 2 back. Arizona began 1 behind the Rockies, and the Dodgers 3.5 back. One and 2 the count to Nolan Arenado. Fly ball to shallow center. One away. Your Torrealba grounded out in the second inning. There have been 4 ground balls. There have been 8 strikeouts. So outside of the home run, there's only been 1 ball hit in the air, and that was that little fly ball by Arenado. 0-1 to Torrealba. Tomorrow night, the concluding game of the series, Juan Nicasio and Josh Beckett. Nicasio 3-0. Beckett is 0-3. Ground foul. 0-2 to Yorvit. Fouled away. Torrealba, a veteran catcher, has been with Colorado a while, but he's been with a lot of teams. Originally signed by the Giants. He's from Venezuela. He's been with the Giants, the Mariners, the Rockies, the Padres, the Rangers, the Blue Jays, the Brewers, and back to Colorado. 1-2. Little number. Torrealba will be 35 in July, facing Ryu. One ball, 2 strikes. Curveball got him looking. Whoa. Now Torrealba thinks it's outside. Can't believe it was over the plate. Strikeout number 9. Boy, he's had it all going. I mean, 1 minute good fastball. There's that slow curveball. And the batter now, Herrera. And a strike. Ryan Wheeler is out on deck to bat for De La Rosa if given the opportunity. So now he has Herrera 0-2. Jonathan struck out back in the 3rd inning. Ryu's high in strikeouts going into this game has been 9. That was against Arizona. Fastball just off the plate. Oh. That close. Struck out 8 last time out against the Mets. Before that, 6 against Baltimore. Before that, the high. In 6 innings, he struck out 9 over in Arizona. Well, he has 9 in 4 2/3 innings here. 2-2. Pretty sure that was his change. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 6-1 Dodgers. Top of the 5th. And got him with the curveball. 10 strikeouts. A season high for Ryu. He has completely dominated the Rockies. It's up there. It is down there. And at the end of 4.5, 6-1 Dodgers.
You buy Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. Call Time Warner Cable. 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by 76. We're on the driver's side.
We go to the bottom of the fifth inning. Dodgers lead the Rockies 6-1. Hyun-Jin Ryu is doing so well, striking out 10, that he has forced Walt Weiss to make a move. Brignac, the Reed Brignac, will bat ninth and play shortstop. Escalona, the new pitcher, would go in Herrera's spot. So Escalona, with a record of 1-1, picking it up here, and the Dodgers behind Ryu, leading 6-1. A.J. Ellis started off. And a strike. A.J. Ellis so far walked, grounded out, 0 for 1. Off the plate, Edmer Escalona. He's from Venezuela. He's a big man, 6'4", 215 at least. Rocky signed him as a free agent. He's from an area, La Guaira, in Venezuela. It's near the capital city of Caracas and known for beautiful beaches. Fastball fouled off. Six runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers, 1 run, 1 hit for the Rockies. That was a first inning home run by Carlos Gonzalez on a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Gonzalez, his other at bat, drew a walk. And ball 3. Basically, with Escalona, you're going to get fastball, slider. Trying to work on a splitter. 3-2. Fouled away. He'll be facing Ellis, Uribe, and then Reed. A.J. hitting .257. 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. Good sinking fastball, and down he goes. 1 away. You realize how disconsolate De La Rosa must feel. I mean, if he loses this game, he will not only be 0-8 lifetime against the Dodgers, but he will have pitched in 14 games against the Dodgers, and his team has lost, if they lose tonight, all 14. Here's Uribe, singled and was walked intentionally. Ball 1. One ball and no strikes. Leg out. 2-0 the count. Edmer Escalona in relief of Jorge De La Rosa. He'll be 27 in October. Throws hard. He hit 95 on the gun with that fastball, and they say he's hit occasionally at 98. In there. That's a strike. So 3-2 the count to Juan Uribe. Rockies coming up in the 6th. Brignac followed by Fowler and Rutledge. That'll do it for Uribe. So Escalona comes in and strikes out 2. You know, a reminder, Tuesday, May 7th, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks at 7:10. The first 40,000 fans at the game receive a Dodgers whole new blue themed t-shirt presented by Las Vegas. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions today. Ryu got a bunt down and a wonderful defensive play turned it into a double play. Misses Arenado and Herrera and Pacheco. But then last time up, where Rio kept fouling off 92-mile-an-hour fastballs and then single to right to drive in a run. Down he goes on 3, and so Escalona comes in and strikes out the side, and at the end of 5, 6-1 Dodgers.
Back in 2011, Andre Ethier went 2 for 4 against the San Diego Padres to give him a 26-game hitting streak. You may remember he went on to hit in 4 more in a row, and he wound up with a 30-game hitting streak back in 2011. Let's go back to this one.
Andre Ethier playing right field tonight. Has a double in 3 trips. Dodgers with 6 runs and 11 hits. Brignac will start it off in that double switch. He came into the game with Escalona. Reed Brignac. And ball 1. Big swing. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brignac has a couple of bunt singles, 2 so far this young year. He's from Saint Amant in Louisiana. 1 and 2. Reed committed to going to LSU in his senior year, but instead signed with the Devil Rays, who drafted him in the 2nd round. Got him. Kind of a late call by Wally Bell, but no doubt it was audible. Brignac is 6'3", so that high fastball got him. That is the 11th strikeout for Ryu. He has also struck out 3 in a row. They're the K's. Here's Fowler, struck out, hit back to the box. So right now the only man, well, 2 of them, who have not struck out. One, Carlos Gonzalez, who has a home run and a walk, and the other, Nolan Arenado, who is grounded out and flied out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Eleven strikeouts, 1 walk, and 1 hit. And the Dodgers breezing 6-1 for the moment. Big bouncer up the middle behind the bag. Punto, but he can't make the play. In some ways, the Dodgers should be thankful that ball went up the middle. It's going to be a base hit. But Ryu almost instinctively reached for it with his bare hand, and that thing was hit hard. Punto trying to backhand and can't do it. So it's a 1-out single for Fowler. So Rio now working on Rutledge, who has struck out and grounded out. Ball 1. Going into this inning, Ryu had made 78 pitches. Rutledge followed by Carlos Gonzalez. That's a strike. That was his change. Now 1-2. And of course, anytime he gets 2 strikes on a hitter, crowd immediately hoping and sensing for another strikeout. Ground ball wide at third. Nice pick there for the play at first. So Rutledge taps to third. Uribe gets him. Fowler advances to second. And Carlos Gonzalez coming up. Gonzalez homered on a 1-2 pitch in the first inning, and then walked last time up in the 4th. Cargo, as they call him all the time in Denver. They might need Cargo. If I understood the weather today, they're talking about heavy snowstorms in and around Colorado. 0-1. Gonzalez, although he hits for an average, swings at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. 1-1. 2 years ago, they did a survey on Gonzalez, and he swung at 37% of the pitches that were outside the strike zone. However, a career batting average of .299, so he can flat out hit no matter what he does. He's got 2 Gold Gloves, 2010 and last year. In 2011, he signed a 7-year deal. And for good measure, he hit for the cycle back in 2010. Boy, he was trying to hit that thing with Pasadena. 2-2 to count. Two years ago, Gonzalez hit 34 home runs. Last year, 22. Fouled off. Six runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 2 hits for the Rockies. The man from Maracaibo in Venezuela, Carlos Gonzalez. He'll be 28 in October. Just off the corner. Naturally, the crowd wants everything, especially those from South Korea. 3-2. Strikeouts are expensive. A lot easier for a pitcher to get somebody hit the first pitch and make an out. There goes the runner, and it is ball 4. And we're watching the plate umpire and Ellis. So it's a stolen base for Dexter Fowler. Gonzalez goes to first. He walks for a second time. Just did lay off that inside pitch. And when AJ's ready to throw, Uribe is so far off the line, there's no one to toss the ball to. So first and third, 2 out. Heads up play by Fowler with a left-hand hitter. Third baseman way off the line. Mike Kadire has struck out twice. 0-1. He is 0 for 7 in the 2 games. And he's in a hole now. No balls and 2 strikes. Mike Kadire, who's 34 years old. He's been a pro since 1998, so he's been through it all. Had a fine career with the Twins. Ball 1. Mattingly gesturing to Wally Bell as if to say, was that low? I don't believe you. 1-2 the count. Curveball flared down the right field line. Fair ball. Ethier up with it. Kadire on his way into second. Fowler scores, and that makes it 6-2 in favor of the Dodgers. So I'm sure if you were in the Dodger dugout, Mattingly would say to you he had him struck out on the previous pitch with that slow curveball, and he flares it into right field just inside the foul line. So Fowler comes in easily. Now let's see. We mentioned earlier that it's expensive to have a lot of strikeouts. Want to make sure that Ryu didn't do something and hurting himself. He's nodding yes. His interpreter is right there alongside. So the Dodgers 6, the Rockies 2 in the inning with 1 out. Fowler hit one up the middle. Punto couldn't make the play for a hit. Rutledge grounded out. Then Gonzalez walked. And then after just missing getting strike 3 on Kadire, Mike hit that curveball, flared it into right field. Now for Ryu, the pitch count becomes important. He has now made exactly 100 pitches, the most he has made this year. Last time out against the Mets, 109. And a strike. Ronald Belisario gets up down in the Dodger bullpen as Jordan Pacheco checks in at the plate. So runners at second and third. a base hit now, and the Rockies are very much back in the game. 1-1. Foul back, 1-2. Somebody messed up on a good catch. You know, strikeouts, we were talking a little bit a while ago, they're very expensive. Takes at least 3 pitches. I remember a game the Dodgers played in Chicago years ago with left-hander Preacher Rowe, and I think Preacher pitched 9 innings and 70 some odd pitches. Fastball throwing at 93. Jordan Pacheco has struck out twice. 1-2 the count. 11 strikeouts for Ryu, but right now he's fighting it. Third time on a bad ball. That fastball was way out of the zone. So a dozen strikeouts for Ryu. Well, 1 run and 2 left. It's 6-2 Dodgers. Second shortstop in National League history with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs in a single season. Who was the first? Well, we'll give you the answer in a little while. A few minutes ago, I was talking about the fact that Denver might not be the place to be because they are talking about a lot of snow up there, Minnesota. Anyway, Denver especially. After tomorrow's game, the Rockies go home. Well, the forecast for Denver tonight, the low is 36 degrees, snow. Tomorrow, snow, and then Thursday, clear. Jerry Hairston will lead it off, followed by Nick Punto and then Matt Kemp. 6-2 in favor of the Dodgers. Bottom of the 6th inning. Ryu has struck out 12, and there's no activity in the Dodger bullpen. Ball 1. Remember, we told you that Santiago Casilla came in the 8th inning in relief of Bumgarner and gave up the home run to Josh Wilson. There's a lot more about that. Trevor Cahill had that 1-0 lead. He began the ninth, but Angel Pagan singled, and they brought in J.J. Putz. Pagan stole second. Marco Scutaro struck out, and then Pablo Sandoval hit a 2-run home run. So the Giants are leading the D-backs 2-1, bottom of the ninth inning. 2-1 the count to Jerry Hairston. And it looks like Ryu now is done for the night. Hairston, a fly ball to left. Gonzalez right there. So one away in the sixth inning. And the batter, Nick Punto. So Rio was brilliant in striking out 12. And I guarantee before the double by Kadaya, Mattingly was convinced he had been struck out. 12 strikeouts, 105 pitches. Well, it's over in Arizona. The Panda has done it. The Giants beat Arizona 2-1. What a ball game that must have been. One ball and no strikes. Nick Punto bunted for a base hit and scored. Single to left and popped up. 2 for 3, hitting .424. Right. So Belisario getting ready to pick up for Rio when we get to the seventh inning. And that slice to left. Pargo is there. 2 out in the sixth inning. So, spend your summer at the ballpark with the Dodgers 10-game summer plan. Great matchups with teams like the Giants, the Red Sox, Cubs, and Yankees. And for more information about the Dodgers 10-game summer plan, visit Dodgers.com/mini plans or call 323-DODGERS today. Matt Kemp singled, hit into a force play, popped up 1 for 3, hitting .255. That's a strike. Matt doesn't think so. And that's hit into right center. It will land for a base hit. So Kemp goes 2 for 4. Single to center, single to right center. And the batter now, Adrian Gonzalez. Dodgers scored 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. But since the third, they just had a couple of hits and nothing else. Slice down the left field line, going foul, out of play. No chance for Gonzalez. 0-1. Adrian had a scoring fly ball, struck out, and singled. Everybody but A.J. Ellis has at least one hit, and A.J. has a walk. Kemp with 2 outs, certainly a threat to run. That's a strike. 0-2. They can still load up the right side of the infield. All they do is move Briniak over to the other side of the bag. Arenado all alone between second and third. This figures to be the last inning for Escalona. He's due to bat third when the Rockies hit in the seventh. Ball one. Tomorrow, Juan Nicasio and Josh Beckett. Final game of the series with the Rockies. Beckett and Mark Ellis having a conversation. Still questionable as to when Mark Ellis can come back. 1-2. Torrealba keeps looking over to see if they want to call pitch out. Kemp goes. And a line drive right at Pacheco. So Adrian Gonzalez rips one for the third out. No runs, a hit, a man left. And at the end of 6, it's 6-2 Dodgers. On the mound, started off getting Dexter Fowler, then he went after Rutledge and began to pile them up one after the other. Fastballs, breaking balls, wound up striking out 12, and then singled to right to score Andre Ethier after battling off some good fastballs. So Reed made 105 pitches, charged with 2 runs and 3 hits, while striking out 12. Ronald Belisario is now asked to get some outs. If the Dodgers follow their usual pattern, Belisario for the 7th, Kenley Jansen for the 8th, and Brandon League for the 9th. Belisario will face Arenado, Torrealba, and then a hitter for Escalona. Nolan Arenado grounded out, flied out, 0 for 2. Young fella from Lake Forest down in Orange County. Ground ball speared nicely by Uribe. They always tell infielders to stay low and get in front of the ball. But any ball hit to his left, Uribe always goes down on his side. Always. But he has the arm where he can get back up and throw a bullet. There's the ground ball. There he goes sliding. Comes up, gets the grip, and then a blur. So 1 out. Torrealba has grounded out and struck out. Right. 0-1. Ryan Wheeler is on deck. So Wheeler would hit for Escalona. Check swing for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes to Yorvit Torrealba. 0 for 2. Fastball at 95 to put in the display window. Two and two. Ryan Wheeler on deck is a local boy, so I'm sure he has a lot of friends and relatives. Ryan's from Torrance. 24 years old. He'd be 25 in July. 2-2. Fouled away, and that got a little bit of AJ. So they'll let him walk it off. Off the toes. So one catcher empathizing with the other. So Torrealba still there. 1 out, 7th inning. A 2-2 count. And the Dodgers lead 6-2. Torrealba, I think, annoyed that he fouled that off. Probably a pitch he feels he could have handled. 2-2. Ground foul. The paid attendance tonight, Hanley Ramirez bobblehead night, 47,602. 47,602. Hanley with a home run and a double tonight. Time at the plate. And ball 3. And he walks him. So Belisario, a 1-out walk. And Ryan Wheeler coming up. Wheeler was drafted by the Diamondbacks 4 years ago out of Loyola Marymount. He's from Torrance, well put together, 6'3", 235 pounds. Had a little sock at Reno last year. He hit 15 home runs. Both of his parents played basketball in college. His dad for San Bernardino Valley and his mom for UCLA junior varsity. And he hits in the air to left field. Coming over, Jerry Hairston. So Wheeler didn't hang around very long. 2 down, and Breniak coming up. So another left-hand hitter coming up to test Belisario. Breniak from Louisiana. Ball 1. Pretty good bunter. in his very first professional game. That was for Princeton in West Virginia. He had a home run and drove in 5. And a base hit into right field for sure. Torrealba to second and holding as Ethier gets it back in. So Breniak a single to right. First and second with 2 out, and the batter Dexter Fowler. Dexter Fowler struck out, hit back to the box, singled up the middle. All 3 at bats were against Ryu. They have certainly faced each other before, though we can look it up. Belisario and Fowler. Fowler hitting .250, does have a home run. And ball 1 to Dexter. 6 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 4 hits for Colorado. 1 ball, no strikes. Just off the corner. Belisario, coming into the game, had walked 6, struck out 13. And a high strike. The hitter's 6'4". Two and 1. And another strike. The Rockies could not get into the game through 5 innings. But they scrambled in the 6th and now trying to get something going with 2 out in the 7th. So at second base they have Torrealba, and at first Breniak. 2 and 2. Big swing for Fowler. He strikes out a second time. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left at the end of 6.5. 6-2 Dodgers. With Hanley Ramirez bobblehead with the ICU, and then we saw Hanley, and what a show he put on. A towering home run back in the 3rd inning, a mile high, went back in about 2 or 3 rows, and then in the 4th inning he went the other way, a line drive double into the right field corner. So it's been a big night all around for Hanley Ramirez and for the Dodgers so far. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Ramirez, Ethier, and Ellis And Matt Belisle, a veteran right-hander, will be on the mound for Colorado. So it's been De La Rosa, Escalona, and Belisle. Match from Austin, Texas, 6'4" and 230. He was originally drafted by the Braves back in 1998. Braves signed him for a lot of money. He was bypassed in the first round because he tore a knee ligament in his senior year in high school, and some of the teams were frightened, but he has come back and he's had a great career. Belisle, 33 in June, slider for a strike, 0-1. Matt went to McCallum High School in Austin. Hanley with a double and a home run tonight. Oh, and 2. In checking Belisle, going up against Hanley Ramirez. They have not faced each other. Oh, and 2. Chase that one. So Hanley strikes out. 1 out in the 7th inning. And the batter, Andre Ethier. Andre Ethier is hitting .300 against Matt Belisle. 3 for 10. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Kenley Jansen warms up, which is the usual. Belisario in the 7th, Jansen in the 8th, League in the 9th. Change for a strike. Andre has popped up, doubled to right, scored a run, and grounded out. One ball, one strike. Dodgers did all their scoring in the first 3 innings. They've only had 2 hits since the 3rd inning, and only 1 man getting as far as second base. 2-1. And ball 3. Belisle has some people to help him stay in great shape. His uncle is an orthopedic surgeon. His sister went to a culinary academy for about 6 months. Become certified in health food and cooking, and they watch him carefully. 3-2. Off the rubber. Fouled away. Belisle first came up to the big leagues back in 2003 with Cincinnati. He was with them up and down for quite a few years. The last time, after having been to Chattanooga, Louisville, Sarasota, he finally left the Reds in 2008 and came over to the Rockies. And ball 4. So Ethier gets a 1-out walk in the 7th inning, and A.J. Ellis coming up. Ellis has walked, grounded out, and struck out. A.J. a long look at Tim Wallach. Belisle out there is a workhorse. They talk about his ability to bounce back. 9 times in Rockies history, a reliever has been used at least 76 times in a season, and most of the time the pitcher is less effective the next year. That's a strike. Belisle has been the other way around. He has really been a workhorse. 76 games in 2010, 74 games in 2011, 80 games in 2012. There goes Ethier, hit and run, foul ball. A.J. trying to go to right field and hit behind him. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Fastball and a good one at 91. So that takes care of A.J. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Belisle, and the batter will be Juan Uribe. We were talking before about how much he is into keeping his body in great shape. After Belisle pitches, he has a concoction of proteins and carbohydrates, and he has to consume within 30 to 45 minutes after he leaves the mound. 0-1. And a 1-hopper right at second base. Rutledge takes care of the 4th. So no runs, no hits, a man left. And at the end of 7, Dodgers 6, Colorado 2. Dodger Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by your Southern California Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a luxurious Lexus today. For more information, visit Lexus.com. And by Skechers Go Run 2 footwear, designed for speed. Dodgers trying to hold on to a 6-2 lead as we go to the 8th inning. All 6 runs, and the big story of the game occurred throughout the first 6, where Ryu struck out 12. Belisario pitched the 7th. Kenley Jansen, along with Cruz into the game at the same time, I would assume Jansen would go in Uribe's spot since Juan made the last out. Cruz would bat ninth, which means he would lead off in the bottom of the eighth. Jansen getting ready to pitch to Rutledge, Gonzalez, and Kadire. Rutledge struck out, grounded to short, grounded to third, 0-for-3. And ball one. Rutledge hitting .204. Kenley Jansen 1-0. Earned run average 1.5. Two-0. The tip off on Jansen. 12 innings, 15 strikeouts, and only 3 walks. Two balls, no strikes. In there. It's been Ryu for 6. He struck out 12. He electrified the crowd. Belisario for 1 inning. Now Jansen. De La Rosa, Escalona, and Belisle for Colorado. One hopper at short, backhanded there, and the throw late. Hanley, I think, had a little trouble getting a grip on that ball, and Rutledge runs well. Let's take another look. There, looking at it. Of course, that's a bad habit to get into, is to look at the ball. But I think he was looking to see where the seams are. You get a better grip. But when you have somebody who runs as well as Rutledge, you really don't have time to look at the seams. It'll go as a base hit. Now you have Carlos Gonzalez with a runner at first. 6-2 in favor of the Dodgers in the 8th. Another ground ball. Hanley stumbles, feeds Punto, who gets it to Gonzalez. Six, 4, 3, 2 down. Flipped it, and then Nick submarined it over to first. So 2 out in the 8th inning. Take another look. So Hanley erases that base hit by Rutledge. Mike Kadire had that double to right in the 6th inning to drive in a run. He had struck out twice before that. Oh and 1. 6 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Rockies. Crowd of 47,602. Two and 1. Little footnote, asterisk, about Ryu and his 12 strikeouts. That's the most strikeouts by a Dodger rookie since you go back to 1995. Hideo Nomo struck out 13 at Shea Stadium in New York. It's easier to put it away. So no runs, 1 hit, and we're heading to the bottom of the 8th. 6-2 in favor of the Dodgers.
Dodger Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Nissan and Nissan's Best Choice Sales Event. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Jack in the Box and the Chipotle Chicken Club Combo. Try one today with fries and a drink for just $4.99 plus tax. And by SoCal Dodge Dealers and the Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules.
Bottom of the 8th inning with the Dodgers leading 6-2. Remember the trivia question? It had to do with Troy Tulowitzki, only the second shortstop in National League history with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs in a single season. Who was the first? You're right, Ernie Banks, and all he did was do it 5 times. Kenley Jansen made 9 pitches to get the side out. And now Rex Brothers picks up in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Luis Cruz, batting 9th in the lineup, checks in against Brothers. Luis hitting less than 100, and a strike. Rex Brothers out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, went to Lipscomb University, drafted by the Rockies 4 years ago. Fastball foul back. Luis in a hole, 0-2. What a dreadful count on a hitter. The league average this year is 178. He hits it on the line to right. Coming up, a diving try and catch by Mike Kadaya. The Cruz losing a base hit, 1 away. Kadaya never hesitated. He couldn't, otherwise it lands. So a fine diving catch by Mike with 1 out. Now to the top of the order. That would be Jerry Hairston. We got a report about Ted Lilly, and it's very optimistic. He received an injection in the right side of cortisone, and they figure in about 2 days Ted will be okay, as he talks to Zach Greinke. Ball 1. A.J. Ellis, then Greinke, and then Ted Lilly. One and 0 to Jerry Hairston. Jerry singled and scored in the first inning, singled in the second, popped up, flied to left. So he's 2 for 4. Nick Punto on deck. Two and 0. Brothers basically fastball, slider, and a change. That fastball's been clocked occasionally at 99. That's a strike. Rex just starting out in his career. He is 9-4. 2-1. And ball 3. Three and 1 to Hairston. 3-2. 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Dodgers lead 6-2. When the Rockies come up in the 9th inning, they are due to have Pacheco, Arenado, and Torrealba. Hit foul off the protective railing in front of the Rockies dugout. 3-2 to Jerry Hairston. He just turned and said, was that a strike? to the plate umpire Wally Bell. And he goes to right field on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And Jerry comes up with his third hit of the night. You know, MLB.TV is celebrating 11 years. Join the millions of fans. Subscribe today. Watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. So visit MLB.TV today. Baseball everywhere. 1 out single, and here's Nick Punto. Bunted for a base hit, singled, and is 2 for 4. Right. Top of the Dodger order tonight, 7 hits. 7 of the 13. Hairston has 3. Punto has 2. Kemp has 2. Oh and 1. Another strike. De La Rosa, Escalona, Belisle, and Brothers. And that's hit foul down the line. Still 0-2. Punto with 2 strikes. Checking with Tim Wallach. As we said, they did a big study on the 0-2 count. The average is 178. Fly ball. Under it easily, Kadaya. So holding on is Hairston, and the batter will be Matt Kemp. To answer the question, in the last 25 years, who was the best 2-strike hitter? No surprise when they said it was Tony Gwynn. Matt Kemp has singled, hit into a force play, popped up, and singled again, hitting .263. We're in the 8th. Hairston a very short lead at first, now tries to increase it a little. 0-1. 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and I think Matt's annoyed at himself. Couldn't catch up to it. And that one at 94, and the count 0-2. So Brothers throws hard. He was a starting pitcher in college. Only been in the big leagues a little over 2 years. And 3 fastballs to put him away. That last one was 94 as well. So no runs, a hit, a man left, and we're heading for the 9th. 6-2 Dodgers. The single play that really excited the crowd, that towering home run hit by Hanley Ramirez, a mile high. What a way to be welcomed back. Later on, he had a double on Hanley Ramirez bobblehead night. He did share the honors and the excitement with Hyunjin Ryu, who struck out 12 in 6 innings. The Dodgers depart a little bit from the script. Normally, it's Belisario in the 7th, Jansen in the 8th, League in the 9th. But Jansen made only 9 pitches in the 8th inning, so they'll ask him to close. And Jordan Pacheco, who has struck out all 3 times tonight, at the plate. Right. 0-1. 6 runs, 13 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Rockies. 0-1. Rockies scored in the first inning against Ryu. A home run by Carlos Gonzalez. They added 1 more in the 6th inning when Kadire doubled a right to score Fowler. 1-1. High fly ball, very playable. Ethier and Kemp. It's Ethier. 1 out in the 9th inning. Take a look at what's ahead. Tomorrow night, Nicasio and Beckett at 7 o'clock, prime ticket. Then the Dodgers go up to San Francisco. Friday at 7 on prime ticket. Saturday at 6 on prime ticket. Sunday, 5 o'clock on ESPN. And then the Dodgers come home to face Arizona, Miami, and Washington. Here's Arenado, the local boy, 0 for 3. Strike. Nolan grounded to second, fly to center, grounded to third. Oh, and 2. Ball 1. So Jansen trying to close it down. He made 9 pitches in the 8th inning, got a double play ball from, of all people, Carlos Gonzalez. That got a little bit of Wally Bell. Right shoulder. All right, Wally says he's okay. That was 92 to drive Nolan off the base. 2-2 the count. Foul back, out of play. When Arenado, the local boy from Lake Forest down in Orange County, when he hit that home run last night, his first major league home run, boy, they covered him with sunflower seeds from head to toe, it seemed. Entire ball club was so happy to see him get number 1. I guess they figure they're going to see a lot of him. 2-2. Here's the home run that Nolan hit last night. Big and strong to hit it out at right center field. And he gets the sunflower shower. Two balls, two strikes. And sliced to right field. Ethier's at the other end of it. So the last 3 outs have been fly balls to right field. And we have 2 down in the 9th inning. And Yorvit Torrealba, the catcher, coming up. Torrealba grounded out, struck out, and walked. And the strike. We were talking before about hitting with 2 strikes. The top hitter, Tony Gwynn, at 302. The next closest is 40 points fewer. And that's Todd Helton. That's since 1988. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. And that's lifted to right field. So Ethier is going to have 4 consecutive putouts, and the Dodgers knock off the Rockies 6-2. For the Dodgers, 6 runs, 13 hits, and no errors. For the Rockies, 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Ryu, the winner, he's now 3-1, 1-0 against the Rockies. And tomorrow night, Nicasio and Beckett. Hope you'll join us. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good evening.